Okay. Good evening, Danvers, and welcome to the Select Board meeting of September 8th, 2022. And at this time, if we could have Maureen lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just want to make a comment. This is a very historic day, unfortunately, with the Queen of England passing away at the age of 96, and King Charles III will assume the throne. He's already assumed the throne, but he'll be crowned in a short time. But I can't say long live the Queen, but long live Charles. At this time, can we have approval of the minutes of August 9th?
I'll make the approval of the minutes of August 9th, 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I didn't receive the minutes until late this afternoon. I didn't have a chance to review them, so appreciate perhaps postponing the approval until the next
I would appreciate it
meeting.
if you had spoken up earlier. We have a motion, and it's been seconded. And we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Thank you. New public business. Mr. Bradstreet.
Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. I have a couple of comments, questions. Can the town afford to buy the proper lighting or install it at the senior center? Question. The other night I was there and the meeting ended late enough so the parking lot, although lit with the overhead lights, was dark. The pavement is black. I would hate to think that I would be injured because I couldn't see. When new businesses install parking, the lights are required to install are not upward facing but downward facing, so they illuminate the area that needs to be illuminated.
Bill, you're saying there's lights there, but they're not properly trained on the parking lot?
They're not, to me, they're not the proper lights.
But there are lights there.
They're nice tall lights that light up the sky.
Mr. Town Manager, can we have somebody take a look at those lights and adjust if possible?
As I say, the biggest thing is it's not the type light that the board's planning or Board of Appeals require be put in business parking lots. Where I'd hate to think at my advanced age that I would fall in that parking lot.
We would not be happy.
Thank you. The other thing that, as far as going to meetings, our legislature in Boston either makes or adjusts laws, what's on the book. When they do that, do they disseminate those changes to the different communities, cities, and towns? I don't know. Maybe you don't know. My point is, if they do change something, and it is sent to the communities, is it then disseminated to the individual boards that you folks appoint so that they're aware of what the current or changed laws are? I find it very disappointing to go to a meeting and have a presenting attorney tell the board what the law is.
That's a couple of answers to that, Bill. There are municipal attorneys that send out bulletins on a regular basis with updates on recent changes to the law. That's something that I get and read when they come out. The Mass Municipal Association will update management on things that need to be known. And the Mass Municipal Association actually has a webinar tomorrow on updates on recent legislation that I will be attending via Zoom. So there are opportunities for us to seek the information. It's not necessarily handed to us. Is that a good answer, Mr.
Well,
Manager?
it's a good answer. It's not what I would like to hear.
Well, there's a general question. I'll give you a general answer. There are tens of thousands of pages of law. All of the organizations the chair described do send us multiple times a week updates on pending legislation, past legislation, summaries of the legislation. Most of the professional staff belong to professional associations, and they'll be getting similar updates and blasts through their entities and organizations, and staff would be providing relevant information to various boards and committees or other staff members as necessary. So, yes.
I'm not trying to slight the boards, I just find it discouraging on my part that the presenting attorney is the one explaining the rules to the board members. Just my observation. The last one, are exit interviews still performed here in Danvers for the members or board members who depart?
Board members?
Well, you appoint board members
Right.
because you're the appointing authority. If a board member retires, leaves the board, are they asked to, or are they willing to do an exit interview because of my
Well,
length of?
these are volunteer positions you're
Okay,
referring
no,
to.
okay,
Is that correct?
yes,
So-
in that sense.
So there's really no need or reason to do an exit interview with the volunteer that decides not to continue on. I'm sure they serve notice to their chair and give them reasons. But there's no mechanism to sit down with an individual and do an exit review and write it up.
No, it's not a general practice to do that with volunteers. With employees, are they asked to do an exit interview?
Well, I can't answer that because we're not in charge of employees, Mr.
Yes.
Manager.
Yes.
And is that information then passed on to, say, the select board so that in the future it might assist them with whoever's chosen?
We don't hire
talk-
staff.
So we're talking about volunteer boards and town staff.
All right, then the
So
boards that you hire, the members that you hire then.
we don't hire board members.
No, I understand that, but you hire people.
Yes,
Okay. Are they asked to do an exit interview?
yes.
Okay, that information that's gathered from that exit interview might not be given to the select board, but it is used to facilitate new hires.
So yes, absolutely. It's not disseminated to the select board, but it is used at the department level to the extent that, typically in an exit interview, you're getting information from people that is not public and is confidential. So to the extent that you can use it generally to make improvements and make things better, you do that.
Okay, so that's the reason I'm asking that.
Sure.
I think the town members or the individuals in town that are concerned would like to know that it's taken seriously, which you just told me they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Any other new public business? Hearing none, we'll go on to item number 3. The board is asked to proclaim the month of September as Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. Mr. Trask, would you read the proclamation, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a proclamation entitled Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. We, the Select Board of the Town of Danvers, Massachusetts, by virtue of the authority vested in us by the people of Danvers as elected officials, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2022 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the town of Danvers. Whereas the National Cancer Institute and the American Cancer Society report cancer as the leading cause of death by disease among U.S. children between the ages of 0 and age 19, newly diagnosing over 10,270 of our country's young people under the age of 15 each and every year, with over 40,000 children undergoing treatment each year. And whereas 1 in 5 of our nation's children loses his or her battle with cancer, and this year alone, an estimated 1,190 cancer deaths will occur in children. And the town of Danvers is made up of people who come from all over Earth. And whereas cancer is the leading cause of death by disease in children 1 to 14, and 60% of the infants, children, and teens who survive will suffer from the long-term effects of comprehensive treatment, including secondary cancers. And whereas many organizations have been founded to raise awareness and to advocate for pediatric cancer fight survivors and their family, and whereas we recognize those organizations in our community that provide services and support to this population, and thereby enhancing the quality of their life for children and for the families. And now, therefore, let it be proclaimed
that the month of September will be a time to raise awareness of pediatric cancer and its victims, and encourage our residents to recognize the impact of pediatric cancer on families within our community, and honor the children in our community whose lives have been cut short by this terrible disease. Signed, the Town of Danvers Select Board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you, Gardner.
Thank you.
At this time, if it pleases the board, I'd like to take the agenda out of order and put number 4 at the end. Is there anybody in the room for item 4?
Me?
Thank you. So you'll be here
Yes,
at the end.
I will.
Thank you. So we'll move number 4 to the end.
That's fine.
And then we'll take number 6. The board will meet a candidate for the alternate position on the zoning board of appeals next, and then number 5.
Thank you, Matt.
Any objections?
Nope.
Thank you. Hello there, how are you?
Hello, great, thank you. How are you?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Just a little note here. We all received a letter from recommending the candidate to be an alternate on the zoning board of appeals. I know it's Katie Hislop.
That's
Welcome.
you.
And I just want to, before we move, point out to the board that we actually received 2 letters from staff. One to recommend her as a 1-year term, and I asked the clarification because the board makes the recommendation for the terms, and the letter came back with a 3-year term. So that's something I just would, and pass these out, these are current terms. It had nothing to do with you, I just want to set the table for my fellow board members. I got to keep that one, there should be another one, I'll find it in a minute. So Katie, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and
Sure.
why you want to serve.
Well, first, my name is Katie Hislop. I, as always, and again, it's a pleasure for me to be in front of the board today. I do want to make a statement about last select board meeting. I had not received an invitation to come, and that's why I was not here. I did not know it was going to be heard that night. So I apologize for whatever
No apologies.
extent
No.
that was my fault.
No, not at all. And it just, we like to see the candidates and listen to them.
Yeah, I just had no idea that it was going
That's
to be
fine.
considered that
Nope,
night.
that's
In any
on us.
event, so I am here tonight. So I've been a Danvers resident for just over 60 years now. I live here with my husband and 2 kids. And we try to be active members in the community, and that's why I have put my name in to volunteer. I am a town meeting member for Precinct 7. And I expressed an interest in this board in particular because I have a background in the law. I'm an attorney by day. And I think that I would have a lot to offer to this board.
Very good, thank you. Questions, Maureen?
It's always nice to see that you volunteer your time on different committees. The Diversity Committee and the Trail Committee. Thank you. No questions.
Thank you. Gardner?
No, Ms. Hislop's been before us for other opportunities, and I'm pleased that she's decided to continue on trying to volunteer her time, and I appreciate her experience in this committee's work as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt?
First, I have just some comments about the process for the selection of a new member of the ZBA. I think it seems that the town has been somewhat passive in in not aggressively seeking out potential board members, rather than we just accept letters of interest and kind of take it from there. Now, the ZBA is a very important group. They are a quasi-judicial group whose decisions that they make cannot be challenged in most cases unless you're the applicant or you're someone that lives in close proximity to the project. This board, the ZBA, is comprised of volunteers. They answer to no one, and they routinely override the zoning bylaws that have been enacted and approved by the voters of Danvers through their duly elected representatives at town meeting. And so, for example, projects are often approved that require variances, for example, setback variances. Projects are submitted. This is just one example where the zoning bylaw would not allow something by right. For example, the density, the number of housing units on a lot. The ZBA has the power to overrule those, that bylaw. And they routinely modify the setbacks for properties. For example, in some residential zones, the side setback would be for 20 feet, and they routinely cut that in half. So again, it seems it's an affront, I think, to the democratic process that volunteers, in this case, can actually overrule what has been approved by town meeting. And then for the applicant, I just have some questions about your interest in serving on the ZBA. Can you provide any background in terms of zoning, or you mentioned that you were a lawyer. Have you ever been involved with any type of zoning kind of appeals or anything of that nature?
So currently, my practice focuses on trust and estates. So my practice currently is not related to zoning in any way at all.
Okay.
I did previously work at a general practice firm where I believe I was in front of a zoning board, not in Danvers. So, you know, I have experience in front of different municipal boards. I don't believe that it was a prerequisite to volunteer, to have any specific expertise in the area. But I do have a general knowledge. I understand, you know, I understand ordinances and bylaws and why you would want a variance or, you know, a special permit to do something. So I'd say that I'm well-versed in, you know, like the fundamentals. By no means am I an expert.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I understand. I'm asking because these positions to the ZBA and other boards can often seem to the casual observer to be almost lifetime appointments, and so the applicants are routinely reapproved after every 3 years, and so that's a kind of concern. And this ZBA board, they oftentimes deal with projects that are contentious in the community. For example, converting a parcel that may be in a commercial zone and trying to allow a use variance to make that a residential. I'm thinking of 152 Endicott, and the ZBA did not approve that modification to allow the residential and the commercial. So decisions that the ZBA make, they have the potential to have a lasting impact on the community for many, many years. For example, you're familiar with variances. Those are forever. Those side setbacks that I mentioned, those are forever. They go with the property, and you know that's a long time, forever. So I think it's important that you would, even with your law background, that you understand that the impact that the board has on the community going forward. If you look at other towns that are nearby, cities,
Keep it to Danvers, please, Matt.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just concerned that you understand the role that, especially as a town meeting member, I'm sure you voted on zoning warrant articles, and so you understand the nuances of them. Have you ever been to a ZBA meeting?
I have not in Danvers, no.
Okay. So that's kind of a concern for me, that if you don't understand the process of how the ZBA works,
I mean, I understand the process. Because I haven't been to a meeting doesn't mean that I don't understand the process.
well, I think that a ZBA member should be someone that's involved in the community from that perspective and understands the impact of their decisions. I often see board members and commission members, when it's their turn to ask questions, they say they have no questions, which for me is, it's appalling.
That has no bearing on her.
Yeah, I'm not trying, I'm just giving this as examples, so.
I appreciate it. I understand that, I certainly don't take lightly the responsibility that comes along with this role. I do understand the impact of decisions and precedents, and, I would not take those decisions lightly. I do understand the lasting impact of.
Well, just
thing.
final comment, just if you were approved, that you would keep an open mind for any type of application that came through, and look at it from both sides, from the applicant's perspective and then also for the long-term impact to the community, so.
Absolutely. I would hope that anybody in that position.
Well,
would
that
do
doesn't always necessarily happen, that's why I mention it. That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. David?
Thank you, Dan. Good evening, and thank you for offering your talent. I've been a lawyer for 53 years, and I trust that lawyers have the ability to read the law and to understand the process. So, the commitment that you will make to us and to the community is that you will follow the law, that you will be aware of the process, that you will be aware of the statute and its restrictions and ability for the grant of variance, and that variances cannot be granted outside of the statutory process for that, and that there is a town meeting body which approves the zoning, and the zoning is not reapproved by any board, including the ZBA or the the Select Board. So the fact that you haven't been to a ZBA meeting or have had a zoning case doesn't trouble me so much, because I never had before I started to learn what zoning was. So you have to learn what zoning is. You have to learn what the Zoning Act is. You have to read. When I started, the Danvers zoning bylaw was contained in a little book that was about 6 by 8, and it had 15 pages. Now, you better get a wheelbarrow to go pick up your copy of the zoning bylaw these days. It is a very intricate, very important, and a highly thought-out document in order to accommodate all of the different needs and balance the interests of property owners, adjacent property owners, and town interests. So, I hear what my colleague says and his concern about the zoning board acting as a zoning board and not as a roving board to grant out kinds of permissions. That stuff supposedly stopped with the Zoning Act in I think it was 1964. So compliance with the law. You as a lawyer, I know that you will make a commitment to comply with the law. And I understand and respect Matt's concern about the pros and the cons. The easy way about the pros and the cons, number one, is start with the law. What does the law tell you to do that gives you a lot of protection from people who will criticize you? Follow the law. So, yeah, I will support your willingness to serve, and I am confident that as an attorney, you will do what I did as an attorney, which was to educate myself on the law and follow it, and require people that I'm working with to follow it. And if you happen to see anything in the ZBA, most of our ZBA people are lay people. They are not lawyers. And so if you sense something that is inconsistent with your understanding of the rule of law as it applies to that case, I believe and I hope that you will speak up and say, your understanding of the law is X, Y, Z. I think that's important, and I think that's part of your wonderful opportunity and responsibility of being a lawyer as well as a ZBA member. And from your way of presenting yourself tonight, I think you would be very, very competent at speaking up and supporting the rule of law at the ZBA. So I support you and wish you good luck, and that's about it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So, Katie, when I was appointed to the ZBA back in 90-something, I had never attended a meeting as well. My background is real estate, so that was a plus. And I was fortunate to have Earl Allison take me under his wings and teach me the zoning laws as they existed then. And I'm sure you'll do fine. And comment to my fellow board members, a year or two ago, we worked to readjust all the terms because they're all helter-skelter. We had one person being reappointed and 4 people being reappointed, and we evened it out. So right now, there are 2 members each for 23, 24, 25. And I point out that Doherty is an alternate, and her term expires in 23. So my thought would be that perhaps we put Katie in the middle at 2 years to keep it kind of even and give her an opportunity to learn, then come back to us in 2 years for reappointment if that's what she wants to do. That's just my suggestion. So with that, I'll ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the application as presented and approve an alternate's position for 2 years for Katie Hislop to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second.
2024. Thank you. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thanks for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
We'll go to item 5. The board is requested to vote to take by eminent domain the fee simple of the following roadways laid out by the board on March 15, 2022, accepted as townways on Article 12 of the May 16, 2022 annual town meeting, and as authorized by town meeting to acquire said fee in the ways Norwich Road, Puritan Road, West Wind Road, Porter Street, and Riverside Ave. That's all of them, yep. And I believe Mr. King is here to speak to this.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, and
Welcome.
good evening, members of the board. My name is Stephen King. I'm the town engineer for Danvers. I'm here tonight to present to you what you've already signed, I believe, the order of takings, which is the second to last step in the public acceptance of streets in the town of Danvers. Once this process is complete, I would then take the documents to the Registry of Deeds and record them, that making the streets that was Norwich Road, Porter Street, Puritan Road, Riverside Avenue, and West Wind Road becoming public streets in the town of Danvers. And I'll take any questions if you have any.
Thank you. David, questions?
None, thank you.
Matt?
I think, Mr. King, you've given us a presentation previously for these roadways.
Correct, yep, there was a public hearing.
And are any of them, any of them have any liabilities that the town would be accepting, or are they all, it's all free and clear?
It's all free and clear.
Okay. And then can you just describe Porter Street that's in my neighborhood? I know there was something unique about Porter Street.
Yeah, well, Porter Street is unique, but it's not any different than some of the older streets in the town. Some streets, because of the way they were constructed, they were accepted in segments and not as an entire roadway. So as streets got further built out, then the roadway then became accepted. Norwich is another example where only a certain section of Norwich was actually accepted as a public roadway, and the other section was not for some reason. So at this point, we're trying to clean up a lot of the streets that have half the street may be private, the other half of the street may be public.
Right. So I know this has been an ongoing effort for you and your team, so keep up the good work.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Gardner?
No questions, thank you.
Maureen?
Lots of work, Steve. Thank you. Good job.
What's the will of the board?
I'll make a motion, I'll read it because it's very specific and particular. Proposed motion. I move the street layout and acceptance order of taking in the fee of ways I move the Board of Selectmen take by eminent domain the fee simple of the following roadways laid out by the Board of Selectmen on March 15th, 2022, accepted as townways under Article 12 of the May 16th, 2022 annual town meeting, and as authorized by town meeting to acquire said fee in the ways: Norwich Road, Porter Street, Puritan Road, Riverside Ave, West Wind Road, said taking a fee in the way as being more particularly described in the respective order of taking to be executed by the Board of Selectmen on the state.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions?
Dan,
All-
if I may, on eminent domain, if there is a private party, there is always the potential for an award of damages. Is there any potential with respect to these particular matters that you're presenting, Steve?
No, there isn't.
Yeah, there's no private ownership.
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you, Steve. Oh.
Mr. Chairman? Go ahead.
Steve, did you want to give us an update on a National Grid project while you're here?
Yes, if you don't. yeah, if you don't
Please.
mind. Thank you. So if anybody's been driving around town, you know that National Grid's been very aggressive in replacing a lot of their gas mains. These are vintage, early 1900 gas mains in the town, which have a large leak history. So National Grid has been very active in advancing their construction and replacement of these gas mains, obviously before we want to go ahead and pave the roadways. In particular, they have a project coming up that I thought the board would have some interest in, which is in the downtown Maple Street area, where they're they would like to replace 4,000 linear feet of gas main from Poplar Street to the Elm Conant High Street intersection. The work is going to take place over both during the daytime hours and nighttime hours because of the congestion downtown. They've already worked out a traffic management plan with the chief of police, which he's vetted, so we know exactly where the detours will be happening. The nighttime work is proposed to happen between the hours of 8 and 6 a.m., 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. at night. That'll be particularly from Hobart Street to the Elm Street, Conant Street intersection. They're proposing to take, while they're doing some of the work, they're gonna have to move their new gas main into where the parking spaces are, on the, call it the eastbound side of Maple Street, where they'll be replacing the gas main. And then I wanted to make sure that the board was aware of it. National Grid has notified the residents and abutters of the project. They'll be doing some test pitting to make sure they find the location of the existing gas main. And they've also provided me with a plan. I've also walked the entire corridor with them to make sure that they're obviously protecting our other utilities within the right-of-way as well.
I have some comments, but I'll wait for my fellow board members to comment. Maureen,
No comments.
Gardner?
The work planned overnight from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., where it's near residential homes, is there going to be sensitivity to the type of work happening in that time frame? For example, will jackhammering be earlier in the evening as opposed to 2 a.m.?
So they typically use saw cutting for all their trenches. They don't jackhammer them.
Okay.
So that's still a noise, but not the same vibrations and noise as you typically would get with jackhammering. The higher density residential areas closer to Poplar Street and Hobart Street, they're going to do that during the daytime.
Okay.
Where they're going to focus a lot of their work at nighttime from Hobart Street down towards the Conant Street intersection.
So they're planning to be resident sensitive?
Yes.
Thank you. That's my question, sir.
Maureen? I'm sorry, Matt?
Yeah, so I think I heard you say, Mr. King, that the new line will be through the parking spaces on the side of the road?
Correct.
Okay. Because I'm always concerned when they open up the roadway, that when they patch it with the new asphalt, that it doesn't settle and cause some kind of trench. But I think National Grid is pretty good with that.
We've had very lengthy discussions about trench pavement. So they do an initial trench pavement once they put the new gas main in, and then they come back later, saw cut the edges, and perform another overlay of that existing trench.
Okay, good.
Not to mention that we'll be following behind them and doing a full overlay curb to curb of the street once they're completed.
Oh, I see. Okay. but you'll be keeping an eye on them for the end result?
Correct, yep. I've been in constant contact with them
All right.
every day about the progress during construction.
All right, sounds good. Hopefully the gas lines will be marked correctly.
They will be.
Down to David.
Thank you, Dan. This just sounds like a real mess. I think that National Grid, because it's customer-oriented, will try to be as neat and orderly as possible. But you and the town manager's office are the ones that are going to take the call from angry people if the inconvenience is not kept to a minimum. So all I can say is, I don't know how this can be done neatly, but good luck, keep it as neat as you can.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Stephen, is there a performance bond?
There is not a performance bond with this work. They do pull their general permits, and as far as getting any further permits for any gas main work, we've typically worked hand in hand on that as far as making sure they do it, as far as what we require them to do during our site walks in construction.
So, having lived with a complete gas main replacement on Page Street recently, they're not residence sensitive. They can't be residence sensitive. They're digging up the road. They got heavy trucks in the way. They did a very poor job of blocking off the end of Cherry Street. People were pulling into Cherry Street and having to turn around because you couldn't get further down from Charter to Page Street. Very poor planning on somebody's part. They had a sheriff from the jail out there directing traffic. He didn't know what he was doing. It was needed to be done, but they're not resident sensitive. And I'm not crazy about 8 to 6 a.m. I'd prefer to see like a 9 or 10 so people can get through the square.
There's just gonna be some time for some traffic setup in that hour, the 8 to 9 hour, where they're gonna have to put up the traffic management signs that the chief of police and myself have reviewed, and make sure that's up and running every night. So there is some time for some setup before they even start their construction work.
It has to be done, that's fine, but I hope that they do, that they've learned how to be resident-friendly to some
Absolutely.
degree. But
Yep.
I know it's impossible. People have to come and go, and sometimes it's just blocked. So advance notice to the residents would be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And they have provided some notices already.
Okay. This is not a public hearing, but I understand that there's somebody in the audience with a question. Mr. Bradstreet.
Again, Bill Bradstreet, town meeting member, precinct 1, does an excellent job. My question is, we've accepted these, how many more do we have to accept?
Where are you
How
on
many
the,
are on the list?
are you
Where
on streets?
Yeah.
Streets and ways. How many more do we have to accept?
We have potentially 84 streets to accept, in addition to 11 that are currently under the ownership of developers.
Okay, so that's 80 some odd, and how many do we normally do a year?
4 to 5 a year.
So I'll be dead before this list is expired, right? So would I, but I'm looking at it. It's just that it takes a long period, and it is expensive, correct?
It is some very extensive work. It does have actually cost associated.
I'm sorry.
It does take a while as far as the process in picking the streets, and also performing the survey and layout and recording information for each of the streets and parcels and abutters residents to make sure that before we even start the process that the street is acceptable up to town standards before we accept it. And it does, obviously, we try to do 4 or 5 a year based on the availability of surveyors to help us with this process.
Again, my last question is, we're paying for these prior streets. Any of the new streets or ways, are they paid for by the developer, so we're not bearing the expense?
The answer to your question is yes. Developers do pay the fees for the taking of for giving the town the streets as a public way.
Thank you.
All right, can we get back to the gas?
I think it was an update.
You have just an update? Anything else, Steve, on the gas project?
That was it. Just want to make sure everybody was aware of it, and if they had any questions, if they could contact my office, and I'll make sure they get in touch with the right people.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Not for this subject, for the futures, I'm certain that we have a lot of documents that we cut and paste from in the future. Can we refer to us as the select board? Thank you.
You got that?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Gardner. Okay, number 7, a public hearing will be held under Chapter 138 of the General Laws on the application of Massachusetts Fine Wine and Spirits, LLC, PBA Total Wine, Spirits, and Beer and More, 100 Commonwealth Ave, Brittany Klingerman, manager for a change of officer at that location. Welcome.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Chair, members. Attorney Trish Farnsworth on behalf of the licensee.
Welcome.
Thanks. This is an application for an LLC change of manager because they hold the liquor license. Any changes in the corporation have to be approved locally and at the state level. So Reva Reebok is replacing the prior LLC manager. This is not a manager on the license. This is a manager of the LLC, the entity.
Is everything in order?
It is.
Okay, great, thank you. Questions, Gardner?
No questions.
Maureen?
No questions.
David?
Thank you. You said that there's going to be no change of the operation, and the local designated manager will remain the same.
Brittany remains the same, correct?
And this is kind of a corporate reorganization stuff.
Correct. Change of an officer.
Okay, thank you
Yep.
again.
Matt?
I'm all set, no questions.
A side comment, nothing to do with this application, but I'm impressed with all the signs at Total Wine that says the lowest prices in Massachusetts. I hope they can stand behind that statement. It's a little overdone. And I'm not going to embarrass anybody, but I have an example where you're not the lowest, or then they're not, so have them revisit that truth in advertising.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I offer a side comment?
You may.
Unrelated to yours. Total Wine was before us previously and held in abeyance. I want to commend them for their very diligent application of carding everybody for any purchase when they come through. My wife went in to buy gift cards, and they carded her. And I've heard of other instances. You know, some people don't understand it, but I understand you're protecting a multi-million-dollar investment in property. So I just wanted to, often we're here to discuss when someone doesn't follow the rules. I just wanted to say how well I think they are following the rules in their new processes.
Duly noted, very good.
I'll pass that on. Appreciate that. They do try hard.
This is a public hearing. Any questions from the audience? Hearing none.
I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion?
Move we accept the application as presented.
Second.
Questions, comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you.
Great, thanks for
Thanks for
your
your
time. Have a
time.
good night.
A public hearing will be held under Chapter 138 of the General Laws on the application of 99 West LLC DBA 99 Restaurant and Pub, 60 Commonwealth Ave, Crystal Lynn Fiolga, manager for change of manager at that location. Somebody here to speak to that? Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm actually Crystal Lynn
Oh,
Figueroa. I'm the
welcome.
new general manager at the 99. So I've worked for the 99 for close to 17 years. I've bartended and served for them, so I'm well versed in alcohol
Started when you were
service.
16?
No, I was actually 19.
Okay.
I was in college when I started. I was going to school for hospitality management at Johnson & Wales. Finished school and stayed with the company up until this point. I'm a former resident of Danvers, but my family and I live in Peabody now, so I'm close by. And like I said, I've worked for the company for a long time. I have managed for them for 12 years now, and recently promoted to general manager.
Congratulations.
Thank
Good.
you.
Questions, Matt?
Yeah, just can you clarify, on the memo, it says there's no changes at the local level.
Oh, sorry.
So you'll be the manager of record?
I'm the
at-
new operator, yes.
Okay, at this Danvers location?
Yes.
Okay. And you mentioned how many years of experience with the organization?
17,
17.
believe it or not.
Okay. No, I think 99 is well-run, so.
Thank you.
I wish you success in
Thank
the
you.
new role. That's all I have.
Maureen?
No, 17 years is a long time, and I see that you do 50 hours a week, it says here.
Yeah.
Typical, right?
Yeah,
First time?
probably more than that
Probably more.
lately, but yes,
Well, good luck.
that's the goal.
Yeah. That's
Gardner?
it.
Yes, I also, so this is a change for the liquor license as well?
It is,
Thank you.
yes, I'm
So
sorry.
I'll ask my common liquor license questions. I see you say you're gonna be the 50 hours. You've expressed your experience. You are tip certified, I'm certain.
Through ServSafe alcohol.
Yes.
Yes.
Similar, trips to serve, thank you. You have our local guidelines and are versed in those?
I do, yep, I picked those up with Kathy.
Great, and you have identified some other people to be on staff to back you up.
Yes, my 2 assistant managers will be.
And will someone whose name is you or those 2 assistant managers, will at least one of you be there at all operating hours?
Yes,
Okay, so there'll never be a time when one of you is not there,
correct.
barring emergencies.
Right.
Thank you very much, those are my questions.
David, did I get to you?
No, Dan, thank you. Just to say, I think it's a great operation. I'm just down the street. And the other thing is Johnson and Wales, very impressive. What a wonderful school that is, especially for hospitality industry stuff.
Yes.
So nothing else. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Any comments from the public?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. What's the will of the board?
I move we accept the application as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
None, thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you.
A public hearing will be held on the application of David Panetti, Twisted Fate Brewing LLC, DBA Twisted Fate Brewing, 120 Andover Street, Suite 4, for a 7-day entertainment license at that location. Welcome, and you are?
Good afternoon, or good evening, sorry, long day. Erica Trita. I am David Panette's wife. I'm a co-owner. I'm the attorney for the family and for the business.
No, your picture was in
and
the paper.
I'm sorry?
Your picture was in the paper.
Oh, thank you, yes. We were on the radio this morning, too. It's been great press we've been receiving.
Good.
Thank you. And I'm here today on behalf of Twisted Fate Brewing. This application is for a 7-day entertainment license. Specifically, we are asking the board's permission in order to do events at our brewery to include trivia, non-cash bingo, live music with up to 5 members of playing music and or singing, up to 5 at the most, a painting class or calligraphy class, all to be held in our brewery at the hours of operation that have previously been approved by this board. So I request that the select board consider our application.
Any questions, Matt?
I have a schematic here. There's going to be some proposed changes to the floor plan?
So the floor plan is simply, there's ample room in our tap room with the tables and chairs that we have. And so that floor plan is similar to the one that the board had seen before. It's not as formal as an architect's plan, but it is a floor plan. And so there's ample room to move the tables and chairs to make space for up to 5 people to play music or to sing.
And have you met with the building inspector to make sure that the egresses will still operate as designed?
So the application received their approval. We needed their signature before we could submit it.
Right.
And there were no questions or concerns. Our occupancy remains the same, and so and also our lines of egress, just from like a practical perspective, are the same. There's still a very clear pathway from the front door straight through all the way to the back door.
Yeah, that would be my concern. When you start moving furniture around, that you may inadvertently block a way for patrons to exit the building. So it sounds like you've given that some thought. And then can you just talk about the food? That was something I think when you first applied for the license, you said that you would bring food in, right? Is that still the case?
We did, and we do. So we've contracted with Danvers Pizza and Subs, which is another local small business that's just on the other side of the rail trail from us. John and Shanda Ellis, who own that business, have done an exceptional job of providing all our food. So we always have pizza available. We also do salads. We're expanding to calzones, all direct from them. So it can go direct to the customer right at their table. We also always have pizza available in our pizza oven warmer, and snacks. So
That's great.
and non-alcoholic beverages, soda, seltzer, lemonade. So we always have other options beyond the beer.
Yeah,
that is-
well, no, it's good to have that option of being able to provide the patrons with food, and it sounds like it's hot, piping hot, and they order à la carte, or how does that work?
We have, we do have an option for à la carte, so specific to the table, to the party. And then we also always just have pizzas on hand to sell by the slice.
I see.
So we sort of have both options.
Okay, that sounds good. It's, sounds like the business is really moving along well, so I wish you continued success.
Thank you.
David?
Thank you, Dan. I'm just looking to see where 120 Andover Street is. I should know that.
It's fair. It's in the same building as Guitar Center, Light and Leisure, and Tile by Design.
Okay,
We're just at the far end of the building, so it's still the purple end,
okay.
against the bike path, like that end of the building.
Great, okay. Thanks, sounds nice, and I like your enthusiasm.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Maureen?
Dan.
I think it sounds great. Good luck.
Thank you.
Gardner?
No, I'm excited for the opportunity, although I think limiting the band to only 5 is, I'm in a band of 6, so it was a personal comment.
Thank you.
So
No,
good luck to you.
We heard you're playing at the last summer concert series. We were there too, so
Okay.
we're very familiar, and it sounds like even more, I'll be quite frank. That was our impression, which is a compliment.
Thank you.
As a non-music person, I think. But just based on the size of our space,
I
we felt like
understand, it was
5.
just a joke.
Thank you.
Erica, what are your hours of operation currently?
Currently, we're operating Thursdays 2 to 9, Fridays 2 to 9, Saturdays 11 to 9, Sundays 12 to 6. We have expanded as football season starts tonight. We have expanded, we have 2 TVs in our tap room, and so we have expanded Thursday nights, still within our hours of operation, to the end of game. And the same is true for a Monday game, and then when the Patriots play on Sundays, till the end of a 4 o'clock game, so 7:30 on a Sunday.
So the end of the game, but you still have to close at a certain time.
Yeah, so we post a schedule each week for when we close, based now on the football schedule.
But if it goes to double overtime, what happens then?
So it's still within the hours that our original application would allow. Certainly, and I apologize, it didn't bring our original application from last year, but I believe the latest is, it's either midnight or 1 a.m. It's far past any hour we've ever stayed open. But we will certainly only be operating within the hours that we have the license that we already hold. We're not asking for any extended hours.
And you know you need to clear a half hour before you close.
Yes, yes.
This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public? What's the will of the board?
Movie that, close the public hearing, please.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. What's the will of the board?
I move the application for the entertainment license as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, thank you. Very good. And I guess you're up next, too. The board will consider the application of Twisted Fate Brewing LLC, DBA Twisted Fate Brewing for a one-day malt and wine license at Endicott Park on Sunday, September 25th, 2022, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. for Onion Town Field Day in conjunction with to benefit the Friends of Endicott Park. Is the application in order?
It is.
Okay, so we have a little flyer here. Back to our roots, Onion Town Field Day, food, drinks, live music, hay rides, old-fashioned games, September 25th, and you're looking to be serving that day.
Yes, serving and selling beers that day is what we were planning to do, hoping to do.
Okay, Gardner?
No, I'm familiar with I was contacted by the Friends of Endicott Park. I'm familiar with the field day event that they want to have. Did they tell you where you'll be serving from?
They said that they are working on a floor plan, or a field plan, excuse
Yep.
me, so within the pavilion area, and that it will be, designated, it's roped off, it's a ticketed event, But I can't say exactly where we'll set up our table.
I assume the pavilion area, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's the only question I had. I know they're certified, I don't have to ask the question, so thank you.
Maureen?
No, I think it's good. 10 to 5 is good on the 25th. I think it should be fun.
We think so too. Thank you.
Matt?
Sure. So you mentioned a few moments ago about being at the library concerts. Were you serving malt beverages there?
We were, yes. We were in front of this board and we got permission, similar 4 one-day licenses for each of the summer
Right.
concerts this summer. And so we sold 12-ounce pours at each of the concerts.
Okay. So you do have previous experience with this type of event?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you manage the IDs to make sure that you do wristbands or that type of thing?
We do. So we use fluorescent wristbands, so it's very clear who we've identified and carded, who are 21 plus to be able
Right.
to drink.
All right. Sounds great. I wish you success with the event.
Thank you.
David?
Thank you, Dan. I think this is wonderful. Now, who in the Friends of Endicott Park are you affiliated with? This is really wonderful that you are doing a fundraiser for the Friends of the Endicott Park.
So we were contacted by our park ranger, Tyler Berry, and he asked us if we would be present. And because the biggest fundraising component, my understanding, is that there's tickets sold to enter to access everything that they're kind of putting together that day. So that's who's been our primary contact at the park.
Oh, thank you very
Endicott
much
Park.
for your service. Nothing
David,
else,
the
Dan?
the flyer says $30 per vehicle day of, pre-purchase $20. But what about walk-ins?
So the tickets are being managed by the town. So I don't have information as to individuals. I'm not sure if they would be charged per carload, if it's like they're only being charged at the park, like parking lot, excuse me.
Thank you. And, Mr. Manager, perhaps somebody from staff can just check in with the Friends and,
I can get some clarification on
yeah,
that.
I
Yep.
mean, it seems to me I could park at the church and walk in, and not that I'd want to beat the Friends out of a donation, but.
No, it's a valid question. I apologize. I
No,
don't
that's
know the
not- no,
answer.
it's not in your purview. The manager will get us some information on that. Thank you. What's the will of the board?
I move we accept the application as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
The board will consider the application of Eric Picard for a neighborhood block party on Saturday, October 29, 2022, 3 to 10 p.m., blocking Greenleaf Drive from number 10 to number 24 with a rain date of October 30. Somebody here to speak to that?
That'd be me, Eric Picard.
Welcome.
Good to see you.
Tell us a little bit about your party.
The idea is to have a Halloween-themed party on Greenleaf Drive and manage the flow of traffic on the road to make it as safe as possible. It'll be a very kid-friendly neighborhood gathering.
Okay.
The intent is to have the kids get dressed up. We'll sort of do a little neighborhood parade, get together for burgers and hot dogs, that sort of thing.
So I trust you have a fair amount of youngsters in the neighborhood?
We do have quite a few
Okay, good.
in that age range, yep,
Makes it fun. Thank you.
it does.
Maureen, questions?
No, that sounds fun. I live a couple streets over. I'll just pop by.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of an open event, so.
Thank you.
David?
Thank you, Dan. Great neighborhood, Eric. I grew up at 58 Summer Street, love that, and Greenleaf Drive.
Yeah.
My question is, are the people, access to some people's homes is going to be restricted for a while, right?
No, the road won't be truly closed. What we're really asking for is the ability to put up some sawhorses with signs, sort of indicating the road is closed, but everybody in the neighborhood will be notified of the party.
Okay.
And as the fire department and the police both mentioned, they want to make sure that the road is in truth open for emergency circumstances. So there won't be any barricading or closing off of the road.
Great, thank you, Eric.
Yep.
Matt?
Yeah, I am in favor of the barricades to keep people from inadvertently driving down, especially, yeah, because it's in the dark, 10 o'clock at night, so I'm in favor of actually having vehicle parked sideways at both ends of Greenleaf to prevent traffic from inadvertently coming down the street. But I think the police and the fire can overrule my concerns, but that's something that I always bring up.
Yeah.
But sounds like a great time. I wish you success.
Thank you very much.
Gardner?
No, I'm certain that the neighborhood's taken care of, especially with so many small children. On the safety of the children, I'm not concerned. So I think this is a great idea. Thank you very much.
Is there plans to have any bouncy houses or anything?
Not on town property.
Okay, good. Thank you. What's the will of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the application as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Thank you. Have a good time.
Thank you very much.
The board will consider the application of Nicole Riviere for a one-day malt and wine license at Endicott Park on Saturday, October 1, 2022, 3 to 8 p.m. for a casual wedding reception. Welcome.
Hi,
Please introduce
thank you.
yourself.
I'm Nicole Riviere. I'm getting married on October
Congratulations.
1st. Thank you. And yeah, we're just having a small, well, kind of small, casual gathering at Endicott Park in the pavilion. We just wanted to do like just beer and wine, kind of like cookout, picnic style, very easy, simple.
And who will be serving the beer and wine?
Jessica Morehouse, she's tips certified, she's a bartender. I sent in all of her paperwork, her insurance with the town on it.
Is everything in order?
It is.
Okay. Gardner?
No, you've answered my questions about tip certification and control, so I'm all set. Thank you.
Maureen?
Sounds like a good time. I hope the weather's good for you.
Thank you, I hope so too.
Matt?
I'm all set.
David?
Hope you have great weather. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Yeah, October 1 will be fine.
Yeah, hoping it stays warm.
What's the will of the board?
Move we accept the application as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none, thank you, good luck.
Thank you.
Congratulations. That the lucky guy?
Is there anything else that we need to do?
I'll get back to you tomorrow.
Okay, perfect.
The board will consider the application of Eric Emerson on behalf of DHS class of 1977 for one-day malt and wine license at the rear of 255 Newberry Street on Saturday, September 17th, 2022, 1 to 9 p.m. Welcome, Eric. I assume this is behind Putnam Pantry?
It is.
Marvelous. Tell us a little bit more. Tell us a little bit more what you want to do.
Well, they collectively wanted to have an outside event. They talked me into hosting it. We went through the process, so we're doing from 1 to 9. We're doing a cookout, and then we're having food served by Sapinos at 7 o'clock. And I'll probably tell a lot of stories. Most of them will be lies, and that'll be it.
Very good. Questions, David?
Just that when Eric was a baby, I used to visit his mother and father when they lived in the white building. So, hi, Eric.
How you doing?
I hope your weather is good. Okay, thank you, nothing else.
Matt?
Sounds great.
Gardner?
Is Sapinos responsible for the liquor service?
No, it's actually the same group as the previous applicant. So it's the same bartending service.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Maureen?
Is that your graduating class?
It is.
Oh, I went to school with your brother Pat.
Okay?
Yeah.
He's not coming.
No, I know. He's far away, right?
He
Yeah.
is far away.
Well, good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. What's the will of the board?
Consider the application of Eric Emerson, so we'll move it.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. Good luck, Eric.
Thank you.
A public hearing will be held on the application of Nancy Rodriguez, DBA Isla Bonita Nutrition, 52 Maple Street, for common viculars license at that location. Welcome. Introduce yourself.
I'm Nancy Rodriguez, the owner of Isla Bonita Nutrition.
So this is a new business?
It's a business, changing the venue to get the license to serve baking goods.
Okay. Hours of operation?
6 to 5. 6
Six-
a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay, 6 a.m. Interesting.
Monday through Friday and Saturday, 9 to 4.
Is the application in order?
It is, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anything else you want to tell us? Promote the business? What are you going to sell?
The teas are very healthy and they give you a lot of energy. I can definitely do a tea drop here if I'm allowed to, so you guys can sample them.
All right, Maureen, questions?
No, I'm looking forward to maybe going in and checking it out. Thank you.
Yeah, please, do so.
Gardner?
Aside from the baked goods, are you serving any beverages, coffee?
I do serve the nutrition teas.
Nutrition teas, okay.
Yeah, and I have the protein shakes. And the waffles and muffins will be made with the same protein and stuff. So it's all healthy stuff.
Are they made on site or are they brought in?
I make them on site.
Interesting.
Can you just remind me where 52 Maple Street is, and just help me orient?
It's very hidden, even though it's right in the square. Ipazi,
Oh, sure.
I'm right next to them.
Okay, very
But it's
good.
a small little area, so you'd probably miss it if you don't see the sign.
Very good, thank you.
Is that the one where the old mortgage company was? To the
Yes.
right? That's what I thought.
Yes.
Okay. This picture looks a lot larger than what I remember that building to be. Interesting. David?
Nothing, thank you. Sounds very interesting. Good luck.
Thank you.
Matt?
No, we're always, the board is always very supportive of a new business opening up in the square. We try to promote any business that's starting out. Are you already established at a different location?
I'm established there.
Oh, you're there already?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, it sounds great. I'm sure you'll do well.
And my customers are a lot of the junior high schoolers, so we did a fundraiser for them last year, and they loved it. But that's their favorite place to go, to get their
Well, that's
little
great.
teas.
All right, I wish you success.
Thank you.
I have no questions. What's the will of the board?
I move the application as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Did we wear the little one out? She had to leave?
Bye.
Goodbye, thank you. Have a breakfast place.
Protein.
The public hearing will be held on the application of the Moolah Supermarkets, Inc., DBA Market Basket, 139 Endicott Street, Jamie Conan, manager, for a common vicular's license at that location. Welcome, and introduce yourself, please.
Good evening, guys. I just want to apologize to you, Chairman, and the rest of the board. I guess there was a mix-up. I did not show at the last meeting. It was a miscommunication between myself and the facilities department, and I hated to waste your time. I just wanted to apologize for that.
Thank you.
First up, my name is Jamie Canine. I am the store director of the Market Basket on 139 Endicott Street. I've been there for 10 months. I've been with the company for 34 years. And we're applying for the common vic license for our cafe seating area, which houses 33 seats, for people to be able to sit down and partake in the food that we serve there.
So, this is already currently in operation?
Yes, sir.
And when did it start operations?
It started at the end of July.
The end of July?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're just here for the cafe area?
Yes, sir.
Because the whole front of the building was changed over, is that not correct?
It's still in the process of being changed. We're still going through refurbing the front of the building, the sidewalks, and the parking lot.
Yeah, 'cause our
currently.
favorite Japanese makers moved from the back to the front.
Yes,
Easy to get
yes,
to.
yeah, and they have a bigger, better space to work it too. So it worked out well for them.
And just last question, the Board of Health has signed off on all this?
Yes, sir.
And the building inspector?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you have 32 seats, you opened the end of July, and you went here in July to get this license, so that's fine. Questions, Gardner?
No, I have no questions, thank you.
Maureen?
No questions.
David?
I just want to say, I think you do a great job with that company, with your employees. They're so polite, and I love going to that store. So I'll go and get some sushi or something and sit down here and eat it too.
Well, you can sit down there and eat it now. It's Thank you very much. We do try to service the public the best we can. That's our goal. You guys can shop anywhere. Service is what brings us above and beyond.
Matt?
The new layout is awesome.
Thank you.
Takes a little while to get used to where things are now, but.
Oh,
I've learned.
37,000 people tell me that every week. Where's my where's my biscuits? Where's my, oh, yeah.
right.
But it is nice, thank you.
Yeah, so this is a kind of a nice modern touch that you've added to your store. So can you describe a little bit, is there segregation like with stanchions or something that kind of separates the dining area from people pushing carts around it? Can you just describe that kind of layout?
There is. So when you walk in the far entrance, it's we call it the cafe entrance. When you come in, there's a half wall that is partitioned to the ceiling with glass that has a countertop where people can actually people watch, so to speak, and that wall comes out 10 feet. So it almost creates, without a door, it almost creates an entranceway to the cafe. So it's not just a free flow into there.
Okay, that's what I was kind of concerned about, just having some type of demarcation line, so you have, people can enjoy sitting and eating their food and not being jostled with people trying to get to the checkout line.
Yes, it is clearly defined as
Yeah, it sounds like
seating
it's
area.
well thought out. Well, again, kudos for Demoulas for investing in Danvers. It's quite the project, and it's good seeing it come to fruition. Although today, a lot of activity out in the parking lot. So, other than that,
that's going to be a little bit of a disruption. But when it's done, they're re-beautifying the parking lot with the landscape. It's really going to be a jewel.
Yeah, it's worth the wait. It's really, and I'm glad that you stayed open, even though it was a challenge for some folks. But
for everybody, you and us.
Yeah, it's just one of the best supermarkets I've ever been in. So,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have good leaders from the top down.
Yeah, thanks.
So I have a question, kind of unrelated to the cafe, but out in the parking lot between the building and Town Fair Tire,
Yes, sir.
at night you've got it blocked off with carriages that are standing on their backside.
That was just for one night to discourage employees from parking the next day. It's now been properly fenced off by the paving company. So it's not going to be any type of, it's pretty tough to get into, but it was done properly the next
I
day.
happened to be there that night picking up my grandson. I noticed I couldn't cut through the parking lot because of all the carriages. I happened to be there that one night.
Yeah, just that one night. Now it's, so that was the first part of the parking lot that was being ground up and regraded.
Okay.
That'll be done in roughly 2 weeks. And then we'll put the parking back there, and it's a 4-phase process to go through the parking lot, but.
So I'll stay away for a couple of weeks till you get everything.
No,
squared
don't
away.
stay away.
Good luck, thank you.
Thank you.
What's the will of the board?
Move we accept the application as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you,
showing up
guys.
tonight.
Hope to see you soon.
Good. All right, moving right along. We'll go back to number 4. I think we cleared the agenda, did we?
Yep.
Yeah, good, thank you. The board will review the final design proposal for the Richard B. Trask Archival Center at the Peabody Institute Library. John, you gonna take the lead or the town manager?
I'll take the lead. Sure. So thank you, board members. As you recall, in June, under our new naming policy, I did come before the board and petition for naming the Archival Center again after Richard B. Trask. As we all know, he is my uncle, my father's brother. We went through this, as town manager and I then went through the steps of talking to the library trustees, who voted unanimously to accept our proposal going forward to the select board. And at that time, I said that we would be doing the appropriate planning and come back to the board with our final plans, which is what I'm doing tonight. So there are 2 phases in this, and we're going, the 2 parts of the dedication are to put Richard's name above the entrance of the archives. If you're walking towards the archives, on the right-hand side is a large glass window that currently says Danvers Archival Center, and we'd like to place his name above that. And then the family has worked and will pay for a bronze plaque that is 18 by 10, not 36 by 10. And the verbiage of it is here, was worked out by Richard himself, his daughter Elizabeth, who, if you've been around in town, and is versed in history as well, was an active participant in the Alarmless Company and his digs. My daughter Lisa, who is also a member, professional educator in town, she teaches history at Danvers High School, and my brother Dane, his nephew, who is a history buff specializing in the Revolutionary War. Those who know Richard knows he is reluctant to accept accolades and praise. He's very humble in his acceptance of these things, but so we decided we would work with him. The text on the back of the page we sent is what we'd like to put on the plaque. The items in red it was a suggested editorial change by the town manager. It will actually say Richard B. Trask Archival Library at the top of the plaque. And then the text that is here. We wanted to not only honor him, but also Ethel, his wife, who was so active in the development of the archives, and his supportive and active participant in his work as archivist and town historian. This will be, so this is to come back to you, and then if you'd like, I can describe the ceremony, but if you want to vote on what we said we wanted to discuss, we can do that.
I think we'll do that first.
Okay.
The only comment I have is we received a letter dated June 25th. At the June 9th meeting of the Library Board of Trustees, the board expressed unanimous support for naming rights regarding the Danvers Archival Center. It was kind of vague. Were they aware of what they
Yes,
were
I'm sorry,
approving?
I should have mentioned, and I will in the next section, that this is all done with active participation by Noel Bach, the director of the library, as well.
Okay. Questions for Gardner, David?
No, thank you. The only thing is that I don't think the family should be responsible financially for it. I think that he is such a gift to the town and to the library that the cost should not be borne by the Trask family members, but as a matter of honor by the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt?
I support this effort.
Well said. Maureen?
I can't think of a more deserving award for Richard Trask. He's wonderful, and I support this too.
Gardner, will the board need to take a separate vote to accept the gift of the plaque under Mass General laws?
I think we should. I think
Yeah.
what's being approved tonight is the language, and when the plaque is complete,
We can do
we
that?
can do a very simple agenda item the way we do with other gifts.
Okay. So what's the will of the board on the renaming?
I say we accept the renaming for Mr. Trask.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Just for clarity, that's for both the window and for this plaque.
Yes.
Thank you.
For window and plaque. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just,
Yep.
I missed I had to step out for a moment. Can you just explain again where the plaque will be installed?
Certainly, as you walk into the archives, you'll walk through an entrance which now will have a window that says the Richard B. Trask Archival Center, only adding his name above it. And then as you walk in, on the right-hand side, there's currently a podium with whatever the highlighted manuscript of the day is, and it'll be on that wall.
Okay. That's
Inside
great.
the Archival Center.
Sounds good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you. Please describe the ceremony.
Sure, on behalf of Noel Bach, we worked with her, this is, I want to say primarily, a celebration of the 50th anniversary of the archives, in which we will do this presentation, but on October 15th, from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, there'll be a celebration of the 50th anniversary of the archives, which opened the week, 50 years prior, the week prior. It's as close as we could get. And so that'll be from 1 to 4. At 1:30, we will open it up for a presentation and dedication to Richard. The Gordon Room has been secured. There will be, he'll be placing certain artifacts out in the archives, outside of the vault, in the archives, in the Gordon Room, and potentially in the children's area, for people to see some of the many artifacts that he's steward for and has accumulated on behalf of the town over for the 50 years he's been there. There's some fascinating historical artifacts. We will have on display 2 first-run copies of the Constitution, which is a very rare thing. We also have some period chairs from various chairsmiths, a lot of manuscripts, a lot of documents, some relating to the witch hysteria, some relating to Danvers itself. As you know, from Salem Village forward. Danvers has a rich and deep history, and he's worked very hard to keep track of all of it, from the ice cutting and ice shipping that used to happen out of Danvers Port, right through modern day, and what various homes in the area represent, who the architects were, why they were historically significant. Anybody who's worked with Richard knows that he's just a font of knowledge, deep knowledge about the town, and you can ask him anything about it. So it'll go from October 15th, 1 to 4. We've been working with Noel Bach, the director of the library. There will be refreshments provided by the Friends of the Library. The Alarmless Company will be there, some of them in regalia. And at 1:30, we'll start a brief ceremony at Richard's insistence that it's brief, given the person he is. But I've reached out to our state legislatures for a proclamation. I'll ask the town manager if he might afford that opportunity as well. And we'll have a couple of speakers, including Richard, wrapped up by Richard. If the plaque is ready, we will unveil it. If we not, we will have a mock-up. One of our local companies is doing the work. So we've gone local. We're supporting local companies. And I appreciate David's comment about the cost. The family takes it as a great honor to be able to do this. And I wouldn't want to set a precedent, because I think other plaques that have happened in town are also as well deserving. And this really is, we are asking the town to do this, and we would like to do this for him. One of the local organizations has offered to help pitch in, and we'll accept that, but we're not looking for donations. They came to us, and we're happy to do it.
The Francis F. Mills family would like to participate.
Thank you. I'll reach out to you.
Okay, very good.
Look for more invitations and information and publicity coming from the library itself. It truly is a celebration of the library and the archives, in which we are doing the dedication, not the other way around.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Look forward to it. The town manager will report to the board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few items, and I'll start with the latest breaking. I just forwarded you an email from Mark Jones, town meeting member and member of the Friends of Endicott. He said that the flyer we were reviewing earlier in our meeting was dated, and you now have an email with an updated flyer. The charge is per person, not per car, and kids under 3 are free. So that has changed, but you all have that now in your Town of Danvers email.
Thank you. It did seem a little strange. I thought I was going back to the drive-in.
Yeah. A few items for you tonight. You received the memorandum in your packets from our Director of Equity and Inclusion, who has been working with the schools, the library, and the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee to put together a Latinx Heritage Month celebration next weekend on the lawn at the library, similar to the events that were sponsored by the HRIC in June for both Juneteenth and Pride. So the details regarding that event are there and will be on social media as well. You received earlier tonight copies of the town's, I should note that's 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. On the 17th. I realize I skipped right over that. Copies of the most recent credit rating for the town. We received these earlier today from S&P. We're issuing $1.5 million in debt related to authorizations for some water main projects. So once a year, we have a check-in with S&P, and we've been reaffirmed, which is excellent news. You also received tonight a copy of a piece of legislation that I have referenced a couple of times in my updates. This pertains to the Public Works facility project that we've been working on for a couple of years through feasibility and into site selection. And as we have discussed previously, an opportunity really came along where one of the few properties in town that would accommodate the type of operation that our design engineer had identified was owned by the state. It's known as the State Hospital Power Plant site. It is essentially landlocked and accessible only through a utility easement that the town already owned. And we've been working closely with our delegation and DCAM. And I haven't heard yet from the senator, but the approval made its way through the House, and I believe action was expected today in the Senate, which will effectively give the town the right to work in partnership with DCAM to have appraisals done and go through the process to procure that piece of property, which I believe will be we don't have numbers yet, but I think it'll be a very attractive number based on the process that DCAM goes through, and they have now permission to negotiate directly with the town on that. So I wanted to provide you a copy of that. Much more to follow as we get out of design and start having conversations about the options in terms of what divisions will live where and how this might actually work and what the cost will be. But in the meantime, this opportunity popped up and we were able to spring into action, and I give a lot of credit to David Lane, who really quarterbacked this for the town. So you have that. I'm happy to answer questions if you have any about that. You, I believe, received an email earlier today from Ann Freitas. The North Shore Chambers State of the Region event is next week, I believe next Tuesday at Danversport. So it's a 7:30 breakfast event. I believe seats are still available if anybody is interested in attending. It's always nice to get together and hear from the mayors yeah, I think I'm typically the only manager who gets invited, but the mayors, what's going on in the cities on the North Shore, and to have a conversation with the business community. And the last item that I had, I wanted to mention is kind of looking ahead. One of the other items that our Equity and Inclusion Director has been working on is rebooting the Disability Commission. That is a commission that has been dormant in Danvers for many years. There is state legislation describing the role in terms of making sure that we're in compliance with state and federal law for accessibility. And so she has been pulling together a recommendation that I will bring to the board for discussion probably in October, so that we can bring that important commission back to life. And I think that covers what I wanted to share tonight. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions for the manager? Matt?
Yeah, just a follow-up on the proposed new DPW site. So I recall DCAM coming, I think before this board, maybe a year ago, to discuss the clearing of the site, because I was out there today and the chimney is still there and it still kind of hasn't changed. So we would wait for that work to be completed, including asbestos removal, before we thought about actually purchasing.
Yes, we've been working with DCAM needed access to the site, so we've been working through DPW with council to grant them the access they need to remove the structures that are there. So the power plant building itself will be removed as part of this process by DCAM, not by the town.
And I think my only concern about that is with the rail trail extension being right there, I would be concerned about heavy trucks crossing the trail. There's also the access road that goes out to Kirkbride Drive, so I'm not sure what the preferred way to enter and leave that site, but I would be concerned about any conflicts with the new rail trail extension.
The town's easements come out to Maple Street, and I know that Stephen King and David, in their conversations with Weston and Sampson, have the rail trail has been at the top of that list. So the town I worked in previously, Avon, ironically, our public works trail, our rail trail traversed our public works yard, so we had the same type of issue where we had very extensive signage and lights to make sure that we never had any conflicts, but it's a concern.
And the reason I was down there was Middleton has completed their part of their rail trail right up to the Danvers town line behind Grandview Road with stone dust. So there's a kind of a abstract, there's a muddy section that's Danvers, and then there's this beautiful kind of stone dust.
We wanted desperately to beat them to that town line, but we did not do that. We have a much more complicated trail to build to get there. But phase one should be going in, the bridge should be in probably early spring to get phase one off the ground, which I think will give real momentum to the project. And we're partnering with DOT on phase two, which is to cross Route 1 and 95.
Right. And we saw a press release from the town engineer from the day before yesterday about work commencing on the Beaver Brook Bridge behind Pinckney Street Court? So that's really Pickering Street Court. So that's a great milestone to actually get that construction crew in there later this month and build that bridge. That goes a long ways towards getting that phase one completed. So kudos to you and the other town folk that have been working hard on that.
So as a follow-up, when do you anticipate striking the golden spike to connect that trail?
That's a dollars and cents question, not a time question. We think that as the project starts and gains attention, it becomes more and more ripe for grant opportunities. We've been successful in obtaining small grants from the state. We think at some point there's probably a regional grant that we will pursue to complete that third phase. So phase one, we were able to reprogram the $1 million in MassWorks funding to get this bridge complete, which was the largest engineering obstacle that we faced on this project. And getting the green light from the DOT that they would partner with us and help us with the middle phase was another key milestone. So the third phase is the most straightforward from a constructability standpoint, but we'll have to pursue funding for that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for the manager?
I have a question for
Yep.
the manager. Can you just talk about the drought, the level 6, and, some residents were concerned, some residents were concerned with, how the drought is, and if people, are they monitoring that people were watering when they weren't supposed to? Have there been fines, or who monitored, and how much, have we received any fines, and where does that money go?
Yeah, so I don't know when the drought will end. I know that was a topic on Facebook, that maybe the town manager had some level of control over the drought. I do not. We did get some rain. We would have liked a lot more. We would have liked 5 or 6 inches of rain. We got a couple days of light rain, which was immensely helpful. We're not in danger per se. I was reminded maybe 20 some odd years ago when we had a similarly, actually a worse drought. It got to the point where we were counting number of days of water on hand. I think we got down to 59 days of water on hand at our reservoirs. We're nowhere close to that at this point. We are in level drought 6 based on, or level 6 drought based on the conditions, in our permits and in the regs with the DEP. We are monitoring usage. When folks have concerns about violations of the water regs in terms of usage, they are encouraged to call the DPW admin office here in Town Hall. Our water superintendent investigates 100% of the concerns that are raised. We do not, in a typical year, ever issue a fine. To my knowledge, as of yesterday, we had not issued a fine. We had issued a number of warnings. We issued some final warnings to both residential and commercial properties to make sure that they understood the situation. We have we had a question, I'll just, for public benefit, there was a question about the watering of the flowers in the downtown. Those are all, that water's pulled from a well, so that does not come out of the water system. So the forestry and ground supervisor ensures that the water that it's in those trucks is coming from well and not from the municipal water service. But it's, you know, the rules exist for a reason. I think we all complain about the permit process with the Commonwealth and some of the conditions that the town is subject to through the sustainable water, the swimming program that's only a couple of years old now. But from a supply perspective, we're in okay shape. But I think I answered all your questions.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Okay,
No,
all right.
thank you. That was just somebody had
Sure,
asked me,
yep.
so I wanted to, so the public knows.
If I might, just to build on that, I had actually reached out to the town manager about a couple of businesses, one of which, both of which were investigated. One was determined they were well-fed, so, you know, one of the things I would suggest to people who are going around town, there are residents and commercial properties that are served by wells that are not part of the Ipswich Water Basin and can do as they need. The other concern people had was that some of our parks were being watered while we were asking the citizens to forego that. And as the town manager explained to me, it's a combination of public safety. You need a safe place. If the kids are playing in the park, you need a safe place for them. But also the cost of replacement. We spent an awful lot of money on the sod, on the playing fields, and to replace those would be a considerable expense to the taxpayers. You know, and so and many of our parks are also well-fed. So I thank him for that explanation. I was able to carry that forward to some other people who had asked.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
So I remember a few years ago, there was like a spreadsheet on the town website that listed all the addresses of properties that were wells, that had wells, confirmable wells. And I'm not able to find that. Is that something that
I was told the town has never put something like that on the website. I do know that the state, I think it's through the Office of Environmental Affairs, does have a searchable database across the whole Commonwealth where you can look up wells. But as it was explained to me, the practice has never been to put out a detailed list of addresses of who has wells and who does
No,
not.
I thought I saw something like that. So if I told you that I'm watering my lawn with a well, then you can't confirm that, right? So
We can look that up.
Or you
We can look that up either through the state or through the Board of Health.
and you
And
can
we would
see
give
my
you-
water usage, right?
And if
can
you're
look
telling
at
us the
my-
truth, we'll hand you a blue sign to put in your front yard. And if you're
Well,
not,
I'm just
we'll issue
saying,
you a
some
warning.
people can legitimately water their lawns because they're using water that's not in the Ipswich River watershed.
Right.
And so they should not be challenged, even though it's not, the optics of it are not good. They still have, you know, legitimate right, I think, to use that. Because I see water usage like at the mall, and I see the water running down through the parking lot, the Liberty Tree Mall, and surrounding commercial properties. There was on social media that the water ban does not apply to commercial properties, it's only to residential, and that doesn't sound right to me. Yeah. So these large properties, they, like the mall, they would have a well, or that's no way to confirm
There
that?
are, off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you. I
Yeah.
will tell you that there are businesses that have wells that you would never think have a well.
Yeah.
But the restrictions absolutely apply to commercial properties.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that's not true.
All right.
Yeah, the
That's
mall will
good
be
to know.
subject to the
That's
same
good to know.
restrictions as anybody else.
Okay.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you all for the water details.
Dan, may I float an idea as far as the water resource? How about publicizing the names of the violators, people who violate the restriction? Let's put it on the town website and put it in the Danvers patch. Just a
So
thought.
in the early days, they'd put something like that in the pillars.
Scarlet letter.
Little signs are good, you know, that I have a well.
I liked your pun, David. We're not gonna, I don't think we'll go that far.
Let's
though.
move on. Thank you. Can I have a motion on the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, hearing none, all in favor? Thank you. Correspondence, selectmen, new business, updates, and we'll start with Maureen tonight.
All right, let's see. First of all, Steve talked about the S&P Global rating. Town, again, got AAA, which is a compliment to our town and our town manager and management with strong financials. We want to keep that and sustain that for a while. I had the pleasure of meeting Jasmine Ramon. Dan and I did at Kiwanis. She came up and she spoke at the Kiwanis event and introduced herself, and I apologize too because I haven't really had a one-to-one with her yet, which I plan on doing next week. I still want to talk about, if it's okay, to ask the town manager to maybe a meeting in October to have a Beverly Airport update, if that's okay. Also, maybe to invite Jasmine back in to talk about, our flag policies that we did with the welcoming committee adopt. And just want to make sure that, the month of October will be coming, so we want to make sure with the law enforcement flags for May are being flown and that the firefighters' flag in October will be flown. And also maybe an update for the New England Home for the Deaf, too. I know that we've gotten some materials with some concerned citizens, a status update of that, where that's going. Is it going to be affordable housing?
Well, just to clarify, there was a considerable amount of material provided by a private citizen, but this board has there's nothing per se to report to this board. Those are duly submitted applications to other regulatory boards for very specific questions. There is no application per se.
Oh, okay, all right. But I just wanted, because we got the material, I just wanted the people that submitted that to know that. Other than that, great job with the town. I want to compliment the town clerk on the election. The primary, when I went in there, it was very well organized, busy. You know exactly where to go. She had all her workers working there. Thank you very much, Kathy. I bet it was a lot, and maybe you can tell us, how that election went and the turnout and how the process went eventually, when it gets to you. If
You want to answer those
if you want to
questions?
answer it now.
Sure. The election went really well. One of the things I wanted to do tonight, we did hire our new assistant town clerk. She was not able to come tonight. I was hoping she was going to be here, but she's not in today. So Stephanie started on August 15th, and she came to us from Dracut as well as Lowell. She was the assistant town clerk in Dracut and had extensive election experience. So it was wonderful to have her be able to jump right in and help organize the election. And she really was instrumental in helping, coordinate all of that with the vote by mail envelopes and processing those and organizing those. Where it fell off a holiday weekend, she and I and Janelle were in here on Monday doing some final organizing for that. So the election went well, and it was it was like 24 point something turnout for the election, which was high considering the weather. But thank you, it did go well.
You did a great job. Thank you.
Did you say what the turnout was?
It was just under 25%.
Great. For primary, that's huge.
Yes, yep.
Okay, all set, Maureen?
Yes, I'm sorry. That's it. Thank you.
David?
Thank you, Dan. I would like to also compliment the town clerk, not just for the great job on the election, but for the great job of keeping this board organized and informed of stuff coming before us. And to also recognize Ann Freitas, who really keeps us all beautifully organized, and the town manager can speak for himself, but I think she's one of the unsung heroes in the town. The next thing I'd like to mention is the Danvers Senior Center. There are a large number of services and opportunities for community and inclusion within the umbrella of the Danvers Senior Center. And there is a monthly newsletter that is really filled with great stuff, which is available online and also will be sent to anybody who requests it. So seniors like me, there's great opportunities for you there. I also wanted to mention, and Steve already mentioned, the Latinx celebration scheduled for Saturday, September 17th on the library lawn. This will be our first annual Danvers Latinx Heritage Month celebration. And I hope people will be mindful of that and that we have good weather. And it is one of the several events and aspects, things that are being done by the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee, the next meeting of which will be on the 15th, which I think is a week from Thursday. And our meeting will take place at the, down at the police station in their beautiful organization room there, which is a great place. There are wonderful things going on, and there is also a lot of information about human rights and inclusion and the work of the committee and the organization and the mission of that committee on the website. Recently published, a 20-page document handbook of human rights and inclusion in Danvers. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. And finally, although the YMCA is not part of the town organization, I go there 5 days a week with a bunch of old ladies to do exercise in the swimming pool. What a wonderful bunch of programs they organize for people who are older and also kids that are younger. So again, senior citizens, look in. There's no reason to stay home. There's no reason to be alone all the time. And there are lots of opportunities for inclusion and community in the town of Danvers. Thank you.
Thank you. Gardner?
I just, one request I guess I would have is, we get emails as members of the board. Often we all get the emails. If we could just have, if the chair takes direction or the town manager takes direction, just drop a note that says, we've all got this email and this action's happening or that action's happening, so that we kind of know it's in good hands and moving in some direction. You're going to speak to one of them tonight. The other is, I just want people to know that if I get an email that I can't verify who the person is, or if I get a physical package without a return address or without an actual name wrapped around, if the naming is some neighborhood coalition, if I can't identify the person, I consider it anonymous and I don't consider it. I actually won't consider the content of those, of anything that I can't identify a person. Now, people can come to me and ask for confidentiality, and I'll respect that. But to send something anonymous or without a return address, I'm just not going to follow up on
That's a
that.
good practice for all board members to be aware of.
Right.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. That's it. That's all I had. Thank you.
Matt?
Thank you. Just one comment, really, and it's based on interaction with residents. I often hear from residents about their difficulty in finding the right resource at Town Hall. They may leave a voicemail or send an email, and they don't receive a timely reply. And I'm wondering how to kind of address that, especially now that we're going to have a new website, that there is some kind of centralized portal where residents can offer comments or complaints or whatever they may be in a way that could be tracked sort of through a ticketing system that would work for the residents by making the interaction more fruitful, and it would also help the town kind of collect metrics. Perhaps there's a common theme to a concern or a complaint, and this would be a way for the town to capture that information. I think of the system that they have in Boston, 311 system, that provides that kind of ombudsman type service where there's kind of a centralized person or a group to contact, and then that gets rerouted to the correct source and makes it more efficient. But something, I don't know if the town has contemplated that type of kind of a service for the constituents.
We haven't contemplated something of that scale, but I want to make sure if any of you are contacted by a resident who's having a hard time getting a hold of someone, I would ask you forward that on to me or give me a call so that I can help, because that is important and that's serious. We want to make sure if people have questions or leaving messages, we want to be timely in getting back to them,
Yeah.
even if just to say we don't have the answer, but we'll find the answer.
Yeah, I think that's a basic courtesy, right, is to at least reply and say that's not something that the town offers or does or is responsible for. But some employees may feel that there's some autonomy and that they may not be required to respond, and that's not really good customer service, not for a government, not for a private industry. You always want to, you always want to be polite and courteous to those that you serve. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a number of correspondence and updates I'd like to bring before the board and the public. The first one is concerning the Beverly Airport. They have a meeting coming up on the 12th. Senator Lovely at their last meeting had asked for a noise study presentation. There is a presentation for this, on this agenda for the 12th, but it just says Airport Solutions Group. Greg Schuster really doesn't explain what that presentation is. So I would ask that Aaron and Mr. Mosier give us an update sometime in October for this meeting. Unless somebody from this board wishes to go to attend the meeting as a board representative to report back to us. The meeting is Monday, 9/12 at 6 o'clock. Can be done on Zoom, a hybrid, or in meeting in person. So if anybody's in.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'll attend that meeting and report back if you'd like.
Would love that you would
Sure.
I'm gonna try to
represent the
come with you,
board.
too, maybe.
Yep.
Good, thank you.
And I was a former airport
Right, I
representative.
understand, so you'd be a good person to report back to us.
Happy to do that.
Thank you. The other is Steve received a letter from Mr. Trask, Richard, and I received a copy as the Select Board and Preservation Commission Chair. The Historic District is concerned about the physical state of the town-owned Salem Village Parsonage archaeological site, the rear of 67 Center Street. And basically, it's about the lousy condition of the site. And I would ask the manager to send a copy to the rest of the board so they can read it and digest it.
They should have got copies of that letter
Did you
tonight,
get copy? Okay. Is this something we want to discuss on a future agenda item?
I would say, I actually have asked David Lane and Aaron Henry to meet so we can discuss ideas. I mean, this
Yep.
is, the issue, not issue, we have a lot of properties in town that do not receive regular maintenance, and doing so would require either redirection of staff from other things or expansion of contracts. In this particular case, we want to start by understanding what was done there in the past, trying to figure out whether this is something that would fall under natural resources versus public works, and see if we can come up with some ideas. I looked at the pictures that Richard sent, and it looks like it is a combination of, it's not just clearing, which we do on a lot of open space properties, but there's some rebuilding per se that would have to happen, so it's a little unique. But I have a meeting tomorrow with David, and I asked Aaron if he was available to join us so we could talk about the letter.
Good. Appreciate that. That's wonderful. Also, we received a letter back in June, actually 14th, where the Danvers Historical Commission had voted unanimously to establish local historic districts under Mass General Laws 40C. And I understand that they're going to have a public hearing on September 29th. I wonder if this board would like to make this an agenda item for a future meeting to discuss this process. It does come under our purview, so I'm looking for a consensus.
Yes, we should always talk.
Sure.
Yes.
And I would suggest perhaps our next meeting, which is scheduled for September 20th, but I want to see if the board is willing to meet on Thursday, the 22nd, because the manager is out of town till the 21st at a conference. So is the 22nd agreeable to this board?
Instead of that, I have a legal ad, I believe, for that date.
Already?
Mhm.
It's 2 weeks out.
Correct. It's 10 days,
Are
10
we,
days notice, 10 days notice, a week to the paper. Usually it takes me a month to get a legal ad in. We can reschedule the applicant after we advertise.
Could we move it to the 27th? That puts us right up against the 4th, though. That would be
Yeah,
back-to-back
that's-
meetings.
22nd, are we going to change the time too?
We're on the meeting of the September, our next meeting. I mean, we have an option, we can do it on the 20th, but Steve won't be here.
22nd's fine with me.
Kathy has a problem with advertising.
I have a legal ad that had to be in the paper. It has to be submitted like 4 weeks in advance by the time, timing and deadlines on the ads.
Would the assistant town manager be able to sit in?
She would.
Yeah.
That's option 2,
Yeah, so that sounds like a workaround.
all right? We'll have Jen sit in for you on the 20th, so 6 o'clock, we'll keep that.
Thank you. My applicant thanks you.
Open meeting law. I urge all of you not to send out messages to all, whether you're applying or writing a message. Gardner did send one out on the 31st, inadvertently to all, to discuss agenda items. It is,
Well, before we get, I get someone filing a open meeting law violation, it was not requesting a vote, it was not.
no, I understand.
Yeah,
It's just that
It
it was a reply to
request-
all.
It was a request
Yep.
for
Yep.
inclusion of something on the agenda.
No, I understand, but it just,
You know,
I think if we adhere to do not reply all, do not write all, let the manager send out information.
Yep.
We all are better served by doing that, so just a reminder.
Yeah, no point taken, I just wanted
Yep.
people to understand that it
No,
was
no,
not
I-
about a business item
No,
before
no,
us.
thank you, I didn't mean to accuse you.
Oh, I didn't think you did.
I know, thank you, but that's just, and to that point, and I have to defer to our town clerk, have you advertised the October meetings yet?
No, I have not. I don't have anything scheduled for October.
Wonderful. We have meetings on the 4th and the 18th, and I'd like to ask the board members if a new start time of 6:30 PM is agreeable.
What days, Dan?
Starting in October, 6:30 start times,
Going forward?
going
I
forward.
like 7.
I know you do, but
No,
I think the
7's too late.
consensus, if I,
Good
am I
for me.
right, is 6:30?
6:30 is fine with me.
Yeah, I petitioned for 7, but for the sake of consensus, I'm happy to go to 6:30.
So would you let Ann know that it's 6:30 starting in October, and Kathy hasn't advertised yet, so you're all
Good,
set.
thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. I think that's all that I have. Danvers, this meeting is adjourned, and have a good night.
That's-
Stay cool.
Did you thank the best?
I did not, thank you. It's been so long since we've been here. Please remember to thank the veterans. And now, good night, Danvers.
Now the kids doing